It's the PokerNews Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special episode of the PokerNews Podcast. I am Chad Holloway, joined by Mike Holtz, Ben Ludlow, and our special guest this episode, TJ Reid, the fourth place finisher in the WSOP Super Main Event at WSOP Paradise, WSOP US Circuit Manager, and the creator star of Torching with TJ vlog. TJ, thanks for taking the time to join us.
Thank you for having me yet again. Good to be here.
How come you did Mike's name first? You did my name first last time.
Balance.
You gotta, it's in neither of your contracts that you get second or third billing. As long as I get top billing, that's all that matters.
So you're saying the first one to renegotiate is. Okay, anyway.
TJ, it's good to see you, my friend. I've known you for many, many years. You worked with Poker News at one time, worked with poker.org for a very long time, and now are with the World Series of Poker. This was a big development within the industry. And of course, we had Jeff Platt on, who also went on board with the WSOP. Tell us about it. Tell us what this new gig is all about.
Yeah, super excited. I've been in poker media for, 5 years or so now. So to make the transition over to operator side was a change I wasn't expecting, but was very happy when they came to me with the opportunity. I'm sure we'll get into it, but the hire of Jeff at the same time just illustrates that WSOP is really wanting to invest in player-first focuses and initiatives. They've been asking for this kind of hire for a long time, somebody who actually listens to the players, a voice in the room, an ear for their concerns. And that's the reason that I was happy to make the transition, even though I wasn't looking to do so.
We'll get into the World Series Bahamas soon, but I feel like all that happened in the Bahamas was negotiations behind the scene with TJ and Platt. That was all that was going on.
People ask me when it happened, or a lot of people assume that I got the gig because of that run.
Yeah,
and that's not true. They actually approached me back in November before it started, and we were going back and forth trying to find a way to make it work. And then the person I was negotiating with said, December's super busy for us, obviously. Let's just get through December and we'll revisit it. And so I start making my run.
Mm-hmm.
And every day I walk in and I see that group of people. I'm like, you should have signed it.
Yeah,
right. You should have signed it. They're somewhat anti-sweating me because they know there's a number that would have made me retire.
Sure,
for sure.
But so you negotiated, you were already planning to do this beforehand?
It was a possibility. I thought it was 50-50 whether I left PokerOrg and moved over to WSOP. And then this just, I met Michael Kim when I was down there. We had a lot of good conversations. And this just gave me a little bit more leverage to kind of do what I really wanted to do. And the more I talked to them, it sounded like something I really wanted to do.
Okay, sick. Yeah, all right. So that Kalshi market does not resolve 50-50 beforehand. Figure it out later.
Well, the new role is the WSOP US Circuit Manager. We've talked about the circuit a lot on this show. And one of the things we've said is, and I know this for a fact, especially under the Caesars day, the WSOP circuit was kind of just the afterthought. They would just license out the name, slap it on, send them some rings, and that was that. It seems like that's going to change quite a bit. It already has in a lot of regards, but probably even more so under your watch.
Yeah, I hope so. Try to be effective here in making some positive changes for players. And it's something, as somebody who's played on the circuit for a long time, for the last decade or so, I know what people complain about.
Yeah.
I know what people ask for. I know what they're looking for. And that's why I'm in this position. It's they built this role specifically for somebody who was in touch with the players and somebody who wanted to be the guy that hears all these complaints and tries to make some effective change out of it. So it's obviously there's a ton of things involved, and I'm still trying to figure out where the bathrooms are, right? I'm a month here in this role, so I'm not expecting to come in and just upend everything. But I do hope to be somebody that can make some positive changes for the players and have their best interests at heart.
I mean, you're already doing one thing that is a huge improvement. We talked about this with Jeff Platt, and I know it's something that Mike is very important to him, and that is just being somebody that people can reach out to and actually get a response from, right? I've seen people asking you questions about the circuit, and you're right there with an answer, and that's been missing in a lot of regards, right? Kev Math has done his best over the years, and maybe once in a while you get an answer here or there, but it hasn't been as accessible as it is right now.
Yeah, I agree completely. It was a concern that I always had. It's it feels like you're screaming into the void. You tag WSOP, you tag Jack Huffle, right? Some very busy people, understandably, but it was really hard to get a reply. Who do I contact? I have this legitimate concern. I need this question about this payout, whatever it might be. It just felt like there was no instruction, no clear channel on who to contact and who to connect with. And that, for whatever reason that was the case, it made it feel like they didn't care. Yeah, and I can tell you that there's a lot of people that really care, but the infrastructure wasn't set there. the direction on who was responsible for this sort of thing just didn't exist. So they noticed it, and kudos to them for bringing myself and Jeff in with the clear direction of you are the guys.
Yeah.
When people tag you, this is your job. You're supposed to be the one. And if you don't know the answer, then find the answer out.
No, I think it's gigantic. I mean, I've had plenty of situations where I needed help from WSOP higher up in the past. And luckily for me, I have contacts at WSOP.com or whatever I can just text. But for other people, it's like sometimes you get a situation that just couldn't get resolved before. Or you felt like you weren't being heard. So having you and Jeff Platt in that role, I think is a gigantic step forward for WSOP as a forward-facing company. And public perception-wise, huge plus.
Yeah, we talked a lot about it before any of this happened, that what other brands have done better than the WSOP is put a face to the brand, is have people out there who you feel like are connected with it. You know, WPT has had a great ambassador program forever. So has PokerStars, et cetera. You felt like you were connected to those brands a little bit more. And the WSOP, you know, maybe it didn't need the face at one point. You know, maybe it was such a big entity and kind of like, you know, the Lon and Norman years, et cetera.
Pre-internet.
Yeah, pre-internet.
Pre-social media.
Exactly. Pre-social media. But I mean, we had these thoughts of like, you know, who is going to be the face of this? Like, they need to put someone out there. And then, you know, overnight, you and Jeff were there, and it was like, huh, I mean, they must be listening to the podcast.
Pay us for consultation.
You know, no. But I mean, clearly that means, you know, what that signals to me is that they are listening, not to the podcast necessarily. I'm just saying they are listening. They are on the same page as the players. Like, they are in process and making all these changes and trying to make it better for kind of player relations. Because, you know, at this point, there's so many good products out there, you know, the WPT, WSOP, all these things. Yeah.
There's so many products.
Yeah. So many products. I named 2. Anyway.
So many. There are.
But my point is, like, there are other things to play outside of the circuit or whatever. And so, you know, building this up is just going to legitimize all this even more.
I think it's very important for any company in any area, not poker, not just anything right now in the sphere of global politics, et cetera. You have to be accessible by your consumer base, and you don't want your consumer base to just look at you as they just care about money, which is like 90% of companies plus now, 95%. It feels like nobody gives a shit about the people. Everyone's just trying to squeeze the last dollar out of everything. And I feel it in everything. And when you go to poker, you don't want to feel that there as well. You want to feel like the place you're playing poker is a fun atmosphere and it's a good time. And you know what I mean?
Yeah. And something that I've experienced in the last just few weeks, because I went to Cherokee and I went to Baltimore for the last 2 circuit stops, is I try to make it known kind of what my role is. And a lot of people already know this. So sitting down at the table, they'll start talking to me and say, you should do this, you should do that. Oh, those 4 p.m. should start at 2 p.m. There's no reason. Oh, are you going to have more mixed games? Whatever it might be. And so a lot of people are surprised that I'm still, quote unquote, allowed to play. But it's really an integral part of the role. They wanted somebody who was a player who would go to these stops and actually sit at the same table with these people. And they view it as a benefit. So I really appreciate it, because I would have never given up poker. I wanted a role that allowed me to continue to play and to have a role that like benefits from me playing. So
best job ever.
all those interactions that I have at the table, I welcome them. And I kind of put it out on Twitter before I go to the stop. If you see me, come talk to me. Let's get a coffee. Let's talk at the table, whatever it might be, because these are the people that are playing the events day in and day out. And so their concerns are legitimate. And a lot of times some good suggestions have come from those conversations, or sometimes they just might not understand everything that goes into the involved decision. And then I can explain it to them. So now it's not just an empty frustration. Now they understand why we do the things we do. So either way, positive interactions all the way around.
I cannot explain how great that is to hear from you, that like what you said about you playing and being able to see everything going on. And like, that's so important, because as an online player, mostly there's so many times where I'm playing on a website and I'm going, the people that own this website have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
They have no clue. There's not a single person on there that's ever logged into this website and even taken a look at the schedule. It doesn't make any sense. So, but if they were just to play for one day, they'd go, oh my God, like all these things could be improved. Like even as a beginner, I could figure this out. So having you there every day in person, live, seeing everything go around and hearing from the players, a bunch of them are not going to know you're in that role. So you're going to be able to hear, you know, you're going to hear the what's happening, you know, and be able to really pounce on that. So I think that's pretty cool.
The number one thing that we are going to need your help with now that you're king of the circuit?
Where's this going?
Hotel rooms.
Well, that's a good call. Okay, yeah, definitely hotel rooms. Fuck, I should have led with that. We need you to help us get Maurice on this podcast.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
So anyway, that's all I have for now.
All right. We'll explore that off camera.
Yeah, all right, cool, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If we bring a tiny woman to rob or steal from, he'll come.
Jesus Christ.
Open invitation as always. Let's talk. Looking at the circuit this year, TJ, and as much as you can share, right? I know there's probably things that you can talk about, can't right now, but what are some exciting changes that might be coming, or things that you guys are thinking of, or maybe even a new stop or something that's coming down the pipeline? What are some things that players should get excited about for the circuit this year?
We kind of do things one half of the year at a time. So everything that's first half 2026 is already set in stone. We have 2 new stops that have never hosted a circuit stop, including one in Austin, Texas, at TCH Austin.
Very cool.
The first circuit stop in the state of Texas. We negotiated exclusivity with TCH Austin, so they're going to be the host of circuit stops for as long as that relationship holds, and we're excited. I'm very excited about this particular one. All the time, people say more mixed games, more mixed games, more mixed games. If you look at that schedule, they've got many mixed games, including a deuce to 7 single draw circuit ring.
Okay.
Then a triple draw. There's PLO, PLO 8.
Double board bomb pot?
Double board bomb pot.
Do they?
Double board bomb pot
I
circuit
gotta
ring.
go. I love that so much.
Triple
dude.
board bomb pot.
I can't explain how good that is for the
4
game.
boards.
7 boards, 12 boards, 17 boards. I think that's huge. I really do. I think it's so fun, especially for like you're going to get the higher level pros to come out and play a $400 double board bomb pot. I don't give a shit what's going on. If there's a 3,500, I'm playing the 400 double board bomb pot. That sounds so fun.
I really expect a massive turnout there. I'm going to be there for the majority of the time myself as well. I'm going to try to attend every new stop that like. If you have a new stop, I want to be there, right? I want to support it. And then Danville, Virginia, being the other one, a few hours north of the North Carolina stop that's very popular, Cherokee. Okay. Danville's going to host their first one as well. That's coming up. And then second half, we got a lot of fun stuff coming, but nothing solidified yet. Some new stops, some new places.
Mike is rooting for WSOP Mike's house.
WSOP Mike's house. Hey.
I hate to tell you, but that already exists. I've won 6 circuit rings.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
I know one.
I don't know if his house qualifies, but it is like a large part of my job is also developing new stops and signing on new stops. And visiting new places.
My house is a sovereign territory. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, the flag, you don't get an American flag on your end.
It's just a bong.
International.
It's just a bong.
It's Buster's face.
It's not even a flag. It's literally just a bong. It's attached to a stick.
That'd be dope.
It's a whole thing.
I know one place that I hope you guys come back to, and I don't know if you can comment or not, but no, just down the road. They used to be there. It was huge. The World Series of Poker circuit at Potawatomi in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Huge in my neck of the woods. But because of COVID and the pandemic, things went awry at that poker room. But it's rebuilt, and now there's a lot of talk amongst the players in this area. Like, can we get the WSOP circuit back?
I'll tell you this. One of the things I put out there was when I announced my role was, where do you want to see the circuit come back to? Just so I can get a feel for players who are like, who say things just like you just did. Potawatomi gets mentioned many, many times. It's near the top of the list of places that people request. Foxwoods, definitely near the top of the list as well. A lot of LA people are craving better tournament poker. LA is just a very difficult scene for lots of reasons. And then St. Louis gets mentioned a lot. We used to have one back in my hometown in St. Louis where I grew up. So yeah, a lot of these places used to have circuits or have a player base that really wants good tournament poker. And so yeah, it's my job primarily to go out there and to see if we can make some things work. We want as many, if a place really wants a circuit stop, have the facilities to host a circuit stop and doesn't cannibalize upon a nearby circuit stop. Then we want them to have one.
Yeah.
And, no.
I think it's sort of taking a page out of like Run Good a little bit. It's that their goal has always been, we're going to try and go to markets that are underserved and craving poker. And I mean, adding a circuit stop to those types of places obviously don't overlap with them because that would, hurt everyone's business. But it seems like that's the natural progression. Like there are so many markets that don't have good tournaments, that aren't running the tournaments themselves, that need these brands to come in. So, St. Louis, all those types of places, like, stop looking at me. Stop it.
We're excited to. The circuit has always been like for the players who maybe they can't travel for poker, or maybe they can't come to Vegas for the summer. But the opportunity to win some WSOP hardware in their hometown, like Danville, Virginia, those players, maybe they've never traveled outside of their state for poker.
Yeah.
And they're finally getting the chance.
They might not have traveled outside their state, right? I'm from Maryland. We don't travel too far. You're from Maryland too, right? Or no?
No, I grew up in St. Louis.
That's the same.
Missouri
Just
area.
say that,
place,
Mike.
yeah.
God damn
I
it.
am stoned.
Triple
I'm
H
not.
in the house.
I'm
TJ
sober.
TJ's actually third on the Missouri all-time money list right now, according to the Hendon Mob. Just FYI.
I thought I was
shit.
second. Am I third?
It says third. I can tell you right now. Let me pull it up.
Please.
Who are you behind?
Slipping.
You are in third
Tartuk?
behind the aforementioned Maurice Hawkins
I knew.
Oh,
And-
yeah.
Oh, yeah, sick.
and Blair
Sick.
Hinkle. Blair Hinkle.
Oh,
is,
Ah,
is-
How far behind Blair am I? I'm coming after him.
you're at 3.7. He's at 5.5 million.
Oh, okay. Third place it is.
One
then.
more
All right.
WSOP Paradise
Yeah, I
Table
know.
points.
Let's go. Just 3 mil every December.
Hinkle.
Yeah. I love Blair.
Well,
No, me
let's
too.
get into that. Let's talk about the WSOP Paradise, the super main event last December. This was obviously one of the biggest tournaments of the year, 25K. And you had a deep run, TJ, finishing in fourth place for a smooth $3 million. Before we asked, like, what was it like for the deep run and all that, what inspired you to, take a shot and play the 25K? And worth noting that this was just a month after you finished runner-up in the NAPT PokerStars Open event at Resorts World there in Las Vegas.
Also worth noting that in the hallway before day one, I was like, oh, I got to buy some action. He's like, yeah, let me know. And I forgot to follow up. And I never let TJ forget.
It's true. Yeah. I'm pretty sure you said something like, I bought 1%, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, I was going to buy 1%.
I was going to buy. That's always the story.
Now I remember calling for the black 8 when you had ace 8 for, was it ace 8 versus ace queen?
Yeah.
And
I hit an 8 on
black
the
8.
flop.
I was like,
and then
oh, shit.
Yeah, and you're on the live stream. I said, black 8, Ben.
Yeah. And it came.
Sorry, what was the question?
Jesus.
Just what inspired you to
My bad.
take a shot?
Oh.
25K is a big buy-in.
This is actually like a series of perfect events that led to me even playing the event. So one, the tax situations, I said I'm probably not going to play as much in 2026. So the bankroll considerations were a little out of the window because I wasn't even worried about setting myself up for 2026 bankroll. And so I was more willing to take a shot. But I already said I spent all 2025 grinding the EPTs. I was chasing
Right.
the leaderboard. And I was just outside the bubble of the top 10, which is what I was trying to secure. So my plan, as late as mid-November, was to go to EPT Prague. I wasn't even going to go to the Bahamas.
yeah.
The two things that changed my mind is they offered the WSOP Paradise Parlay, which I qualified for, where they injected external money into the prize pool for people, for their loyal customers, basically, people who did well in WSOP Summer. So I qualified for that, where just a min cash in the main event gave me an extra $25,000. So I was like, if I'm ever going to take a shot at a 25K to have a 3x min cash, that's
Yeah.
the one. And then also Luxon was doing a promotion for first-time Bahamas players. If you spent $50K worth of direct buy-ins, they just give you $5,000.
Yeah.
But
TJ told me about that.
Yeah.
Remember, we were in the hall.
a lot of people had no idea what was happening. You don't even have to have a Luxon account. You didn't have to use Luxon. Just a free 10% rake back.
That was
So-
insane.
Yeah, literally, I showed
Yeah.
up to this desk and I was like, so I got transferred one seat and I bought in directly another. They're like, yeah, I'll just give you 5K. It's fine. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, sick. It was in my account like 3 hours later. It was crazy.
They're handing out free money. I had never played anything bigger than a 10K, but I sold a little bit of action, not nearly as much as would have been responsible, and then went on to the deepest run of my life in the biggest tournament. Of my
So
life.
sick.
Yeah.
So sick.
Oh, yeah.
It was
Oh, yeah.
obviously a fun ride for everybody who knows you, which is a lot of people in the poker community. A lot of them were there. Ben, you mentioned it. You were there. I know
Yeah.
a lot of my PokerNews colleagues were there. TJ, what was it like to have people you've known for years, there kind of along that ride with you?
It was really cool. I had way more people that wanted to be there and couldn't, just because Bahamas isn't for like the casual poker player, right? So a lot of the friends that I had that were there, including Ben, were like poker media. And so it was kind of awkward because they're covering the event, reporting on the event, and supposed to be unbiased in the event.
Yeah.
And so I
We were
know that
so
they were
fucking
like,
biased. It was awesome.
there are a couple.
Jeff Platt is like a chunk.
Jeff Black had 8%, and he's there sidelining reporting. So the celebrations, the claps were a little more muted than I know that people wanted them to be. But the people I had rooting for me at home were just insane. Like the watch parties and people sending all sorts of congratulations and rooting for me.
How much do you hate Natasha Mercer now? Mercier.
I love Natasha.
I'm just joking.
one of my favorite moments was Joe Kim put out a video on social media where everyone broke out in chants of TJ. Check it out.
You know what? Remember when you were chasing poker stars? Yeah. Like, what are the chances it just ended up being WSOP?
So there you have it, some good celebration. TJ, I do want to ask you a question. We've talked about this on the podcast before. Happened at WSOP Paradise, the infamous slow roll by Eric Wasserson against Benny Glaser. What was your take on that as somebody who's actually there?
I mean, I had a front row seat to one of the most infamous slow rolls of poker history. They hate each other. Okay, first of all, so let's get it out there. This was with malicious intent, 100%. I interacted with both of them separately, and I actually kind of got along with both of them. They're very different people, obviously. And Benny was like cool on the side, supporting me, and even after the fact, wanted to get a drink, that sort of thing. But Was was looking for a chance, and Was hates Benny. Yeah. So I opened the button. Wasserson 3-bets.
You had sevens too, right?
I had sevens, and I would have won the hand. But we won't talk about that. I would have made a full house against him too. It would have been so sweet. But I am for a good slow roll in the right moment with the right people. I can support it, especially if you know each other and you like to troll each other, whatever.
Ben could slow roll me tonight.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do it.
But in that spot and that tournament, at basically the final table bubble with that much money in play, against somebody that doesn't like you with cameras in play, I thought it was not cool. Yeah. If it happened, if I was on the other side of that, uncool. In the biggest spot of my life, like I would have been very upset. I thought Benny handled it pretty well. I think all he said was "really, man," and then got up and did his interview. But probably better man than me as far as how I would have reacted to that situation.
100%.
Yeah,
I would have had some serious problems.
Yeah, I would have started throwing chips at his face.
Yeah. I would have crawled at him, army style on the floor, just going like, "What are you doing?
What are you gonna do?
What are you doing? What are you doing?"
Yes, same. I would have totally
I'm definitely
done
going to slow roll you there.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
I want to see that.
I've crawled across multiple tables before.
Dealer, ace on the river, please.
Another player you got to play with
Wendy's.
was the legend, the Frenchman Jean-Noel Thorel, who was quite the treat to watch on that final stream. What was it like to play with J&T?
Little did people know, I played with him on day 2 as well. So I had some history with him when I was in position on him on day 2 and took a bunch of chips off of him. But then he obviously just had all the chips at the final table. Yeah. But he was very a non-standard, what's the word, chip leader. Like, I didn't know what to expect going into the day. Like, if you come into a big final table like that with a super pro who has 40% of the chips in play, you know what you're up against. Yeah. I had no idea how he was going to respond to that situation. Obviously, he's had a lot of success. They call him Mr. Final Table.
Sure.
But it was interesting because he wasn't opening as many as he should. And that allowed the second place guy, Bernard Binder, who eventually won the thing, to kind of take over chip leader responsibilities, even though he didn't have the chips to stack. And he was on my direct left. So that made my life pretty difficult. Yeah. But it was really fun to play with him. I thought he had some bet sizing tells that were easy to pick up on that he still punished me for.
That's the most annoying part.
It wouldn't be that obvious.
No, that's the most annoying part.
He raises 4x when he has aces. Oh, also that guy Bellarmino de Sousa, who got 5th, I think. Just FYI, I got it in Ace Queen versus Ace Jack on day 2, about 50 off the money, and he won, and then he got 5th. So just saying, if I had won that hand, I would have gotten 5th.
That's
how that works.
He got 3rd, right?
He took 3rd.
Yeah.
Oh, he took 3rd. Oh shit.
He took 3rd, and I thought I had that as an appetizer last night. What's his name?
The Bellarmino de Sousa.
Yeah, I had that last night.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It was actually funny though, because I ran into him in the hall every day after that. And he's like, "Brother, I'm going to win for you. Brother, this is for you." I'm like, "Okay, thank you."
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to win for me. I'll just take some fucking money.
Yeah, no, for real.
I made a big fold against him deep where he opened Ace King on the button. I 3-bet Ace Jack off of 20, but non all in, and then he jammed, and I found the fold with Ace Jack against Ace King. But he deserved it. He played.
Oh, he's really fucking good. Yeah.
Button either. I think it was button big blind.
Okay. Yeah. Still impressive.
He had like 120 bigs, and he opened button. I jammed 18 from the big with ace queen, and he called with ace jack. It was, very standard
Ouch.
shit.
Wow.
So it's not.
What could have been?
He played great. So I'm not.
TJ, looking back on the entire thing, the entire run, finishing fourth, $3 million. What was the whole experience like? Sum it up for us.
Once in a lifetime. We throw that term around too much. This one very likely is once in a lifetime. Like there's maybe 2 tournaments a year. There are 2 tournaments a year where you can win that much money for that level of a buy-in. The summer and the winter, the WSOP, and I was a part of one of them. And like when you're a kid or when you're getting into poker, it's what you dream about, to be at the WSOP main event final table. And you don't actually think it's ever going to happen, but you dream about it. And now it happened. And it was a blur. Like we were playing till 3 a.m, waking up the next day, just rinse, cycle, repeat. So it was really not much time to process it in the moment. But once I made the final table, I just felt like no matter what happens, I've won at life and I've accomplished something that many poker players want to and aren't able to. So I realized how lucky and how special that was.
What's funny is me as a kid, I always dreamed not of the final table, but actually winning a bracelet. Am I right, Chad?
All right, you guys are cool. Good job. Congratulations.
Bracelet squad.
Yep. Anyway, I just wanted to say,
I'll keep my $3 million.
Yeah.
Fuck you. Hey, man, I'm going to pawn off my 6 circuit rings for 50 cents a piece. We're going to give you the pawn shop.
No, WSOP's doing a ring buyback now. That's their next promotion.
That would be so sick.
We'll buy back your old rings and scrap them.
I'd have an empty trophy case, but I'd have like $6,000 more dollars, which means I'm only like $38,000 in debt now. So that's perfect.
Sweet. Good job. I just wanted to say, I feel like sometimes in poker, especially, look, this was, I don't know if you played 25K before.
My first one.
Yeah, so same here, where it was like, it was a good field, but it wasn't a good field at the same time. You had some really tough tables, etc.
Polarizing.
Yeah.
The field was polarizing.
That's what we say, polarizing. I got to play with Santosh, but then I was also playing with, Thomas Boyvon. So it's like, anyway, I want to say, like, mid-stakes people who end up in those spots don't always rise to the moment. I feel like sometimes it gets to people. Sometimes, day 6, lack of sleep, whatever it is, you get nervous. Like, you realize how much money in the line. Proud of you for not.
Thank you.
Also, after the event, I was like, TJ, I'm so proud of you, but also go fuck yourself.
Yeah,
fuck
that's been the sentiment generally.
Standard. He's like, yep, I totally understand.
Yeah, no,
most of that's the
I
feeling.
love you, I'm
most
proud of
people
you,
give me.
but
Exactly.
I fucking hate you, bro.
No, I hate you too, man.
Thank you.
Like in a love way.
I know. That's where it
yeah.
comes from a good place.
Exactly.
I never hated you, actually. I was a bluff.
Oh shit!
Wow,
that's why you're the best.
fucking
That's why you're
wrecked.
the best.
That's why you're the fucking
Idiots.
best.
I folded so fast.
I know you did.
That's why you're the best.
And we'll play the 7 deuce game. 100 boys.
That is going to do it for this episode of the Poker News Podcast. TJ, again, congrats on that run at the WSOP Paradise Super Main Event. Congrats on the new role with the WSOP. If you want to follow TJ, do so on social media on X, formerly known as Twitter, at TJ Reid Poker. You can also subscribe on YouTube, the same at TJ Reid Poker. Follow the vlogs, Torching with TJ. All good things, TJ. Looking forward to seeing what you do with the WSOP circuit.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys, talking things out. Yeah, hit me up on any of the socials for any of the reasons, but specifically with the new role. If you have something to talk about with the circuit, if you have a recommendation, don't feel like it's not important enough. If you play the circuit, you're our customer. You're who we want to keep happy. And your opinion matters. So reach out to me and tell me what they are.
And reach out to me if you need bookings for WSOP Circuit Mike's house, because I got the hookup. I got the discount code for
2027.
2027.
Pre-sale.
Pre-sale, yeah. There aren't many rooms, so.
Do us a favor, like, subscribe, give us that 5-star review. The Poker News Podcast will be back every Thursday, 8 a.m. Pacific time with a brand new episode. And until then, we'll keep a seat open for you.